Hi, my name is David. I'm going to walk you through how I solved the CSWA practice problem 7.2. So for this example, I'm first going to create this square that's 246 by 246, then extrude it, then fillet these three corners here, here, and here with a radius of 18. This corner is filleted to a radius of 35, so it's a little bit different. Then I'm going to fillet the top and the bottom loops and create this cutout, and then finally create one of these bumps and then do a linear pattern for the rest of them. Let's get started. So we'll start in the top plane with a center rectangle. That's 246 by 246. So actually a square. Then extrude, and I have Control E set to the extrude feature. It looks like it's going to be 5 millimeters. Then we'll S shortcut to fillet. Fillet 18 for this edge right here, this edge right here, and then the one right here, which we can X-ray see. Hit enter. And then we'll do a fillet for 35 for this edge right here. Okay, good. So we got those fillets going on, and then we're going to keep filleting. We will fillet the 1.5 for the top loop, and I'll just select the face to do that top loop, and then the bottom face will get that bottom loop. And hit enter. Okay, so we got the main part. Now let's do that little cutaway. So I'll select this face and make a sketch. All right, and kind of zoom in here a little bit. So let's go into line mode and see what we need to do here. All right, so we're going to create this basic cutout. Now, when I'm looking at this, I'm seeing these little round corners. I'm seeing those as fillets, so I'm actually going to put those in a little bit later. I'm just going to draw some straight lines. But these two arcs, I'll put in as arcs. So I'll create the basic shape, and then we'll start locking everything down with dimensions. All right, but probably many ways you can do this. So we'll go like this, go back in and out of the point to turn it to arc mode. Then a line down like this, and over, and up. I don't really necessarily want to lock it in, but out and back for line mode again. And there's a basic sketch of that cutout profile. Okay, before doing the fillets, let's try to figure out where everything is going to be here. One of the assumptions that I made was that this arc right here, was concentric to the outer arc right here. Kind of looked like that was what was going on. So basically, if I click on this arc, which actually we can probably just get a, if we can select it and then make it concentric to this one, that's going to be ideal. Let's see if we can do that. And then we can set the radius also for this inner arc to 26. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We'll try to select this arc, shift click this arc, and looks like we're able to make them concentric. Okay, that's good. They look pretty concentric there. Let's go ahead and set the dimension of this one to 26. All right, that arc looks pretty locked in there. Now, we can start looking at these other dimensions here. So the vertical distance between these two lines is 18. And it looks like there's some symmetry going on with this part. So I'm going to assume that these two are also 18 apart. From this arc to this arc, however, it's not 18. It's actually, it looks like it's 10 because from a radius of 26 to a radius of 16, we have 10. So 18 for the spacing here, 18 for the spacing here, and then it looks like it kind of goes to a 10 right here somehow. All right. Let's put those dimensions in. 18. 18. We'll get this radius going. So this radius was 16. Okay. Alrighty. So then there's another thing that we got to do, which is the center of this arc right here, of this 26. The center of that arc, it looks like, is 22 horizontally from this edge. So let's set that up. Okay, so from this edge to the center of this arc right here, which is right here, that looks like it's 22. Okay, and by symmetry, we'll do the same thing here. So this edge to the center, 22. Yet another assumption that we're making, but it looks like that part of it is pretty symmetric. So, and now we're fully defined, which is good. Now let's go ahead and add in these little fillets here, which have a radius of 5. All right, so we can do the S key, fillet 5, and then fillet this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. Great. So at this point we can do a cut extrude, so I'll hit S, cut, and then here we will be selecting this contour, and then we'll be doing it in both directions, so let's just make sure, yeah. So through all both, hit enter, and we've cut away that little region there. Okay, so now we can focus on the bumps. Now what I'm going to do is draw this bump first, and then do a linear pattern to get all the rest of these bumps in this direction and this direction. Now to create these bumps, we're going to need a plane to draw this kind of profile in the plane. And I'm actually going to draw just half of the profile and then rotate it. So rotate it about some kind of axis. Well, actually this line right here. And that'll create the bump. But in order to create this sketch, I need to have the plane to put it in. So I'm going to create a plane that is right here, basically. I'm going to create a plane that's going into the page right here. So I need to figure out how far that plane is from the origin. So like this distance right here, how far that is from the origin. And if you look at it, these bumps are 30 millimeters apart. So if I count, I've got one of these 30 millimeter distances, 2, 3 30 millimeter distances, that's 90 altogether so far, and then half of one of those. So 90 plus 15 would give you 105. So that distance right there is 105. Probably should change the pen color, but hopefully you can see that. That's 105 right there. So I'm going to take this plane, this front plane, and then create a reference plane from it that's 105 in this direction. All right, let's go ahead and do that. We'll select the front plane, then reference geometry plane, and type in 105. I was doing this problem earlier, so it's already set to 105, but you can hit enter, and there we go. We've got our reference plane. Just extend it out a little bit so you can see it better. Okay, so that's the one I'm going to create that little half profile of the bump in. So select the plane, hit sketch, kind of zoom in over here a little bit. Now, one of the things I didn't really mention was that if it's 105 going down, then by symmetry it's also 105 going to the right to the center of this bump. So we'll make use of that in a second. And basically we're going to create a center line. I'll just create a vertical center line. And I'll go ahead and make the length of this 15, which represents the radius of that arc to create the bump. Then we want to lock this in from the origin a distance of 105. That's where the center of that bump is going to be. And while we're at it, we can make sure that the top of the bump is a distance of, the top of the bump is a distance of 4 from the main surface. Right? That's this part right here. The height of the bump basically is 4. So that's the top of the this arc down to this surface here. Okay, so now we can draw an arc. We'll hit S, go to 3-point arc, and we'll go here, here, and then set the radius of the arc to 15. Okay, now we can still move this arc around a little bit because this is not tangent, but the way we can make this tangent is to make sure that the center of this arc that we just created is coincident to this center line. So we can select the center of the arc, select the center line, and do coincident. Alt-D will help do coincident. You can see the relation right there. Okay, let's go ahead and close off the rest of the region that we're going to be rotating around. So that's looking pretty good. And now we can hit S. We're going to revolve this guy about this axis right here, and it's already selected that. It's going to create this bump. Hit enter, and now we've got a bump. I'm going to go ahead and hide this plane. We don't really need it anymore. So now we just need to copy this bump in a linear pattern on this surface. So I'll select the bump, do linear pattern, and we're going to go in 2 directions. So the first direction will just go along this line here, and these will be 30 millimeters apart, each of these bumps. And to figure out how far you want to go, you can either count how many bumps there are in the picture, or if you can also sort of do it visually. I don't know if you can see the yellow here, but if I click inside this area and start using the scroll wheel, I can get more and more bumps. And if you go too far, then you're too far, but you can just use the scroll wheel to kind of eyeball it without actually having to count the number of bumps. But if you want to double check and just count the number of bumps, that's also good too. Now we also want to go in this other direction, so I'll click in here, click along this line to make sure that we're going in this direction, this edge I should say, and we'll be spaced apart 30 millimeters also. And I can adjust how far to go again by clicking in there and using the scroll wheel. Now there are 3 of these bumps that we don't want, so let's go ahead and take those out by going to instances to skip. So we can select these instances to skip. We can just select those little dots right there, and notice it's going to take those out. It's going to take those bumps out. So now we can hit enter, and now we got lots of bumps. Okay, and it looks like we're done. So let's check our mass. We've got 334754, 334754. Let's check it out. 334754 cubic millimeters. Awesome. Well, I hope this video was helpful. For more CSWA practice problem solutions, check out a channel called Design With Roozbe. Does an awesome job at these. Take care and keep studying.